Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Best of All Worlds podcast here with your friends from Nerds of Us. We are back again in the year of 2023. I don't know what start date it is, but you can fill in the blanks yourself. Somebody will know what the start date for this is. But myself and Jerry are back, better than ever, as you can tell. I've been recently promoted anyway, which I'm quite happy about. I think you're still you're still a captain rank even after the inquiry. So that's good, isn't it? Court
After
Court
the
Martial went well.
after the inquiry, you can fuck off.
Oh,
That's what
well,
you can do.
I'm just going by what happens. That's all. You got to keep your ship, which is good.
Yeah, well, I got to keep me. Well, actually, I'm going to be joining a new ship soon.
Oh,
Um,
there.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, what's the name of it now? Actually, oh dear, no, that's not a good start. I
I can
can't
keep all
remember
this in if you like.
I can't remember the name of the bloody ship, but no, it's okay. No, we'll keep going. Don't worry.
We'll keep rolling. That's fine.
Yeah, we'll keep
In
rolling.
any case, while Jerry remembers where his next command is going to be, we are going to get stuck into the latest episode of our character arc, as we called it. We started off last week with last episode even, with Doctor Flux as the star of Dear Doctor and the technically first Prime Directive episode. So again, we're going up a generation canonically, and we are going to the original series, indeed. What would be the debut of season two, but debut is a bit of a generous word around this time. But we are going to be talking about the episode Amok Time, which again might not ring any bells immediately, but if I would say that it's a very distinctive episode because of certain music, then you might know exactly what I'm talking about. This is an episode all about Spock and the Vulcan race in particular. It's a real deep dive into their culture, into the way they do things, and into how essentially they have engineered themselves to die from horniness, which is actually a fascinating concept in of itself. Which it's nice for Gene Rodney to have discovered incels like 60 years before their time, but now here we are,
Yeah.
um,
Well, if that was a real thing, if people died from horniness, I'd have been dead about 20 fucking years ago.
join the queue, it would have been hell of a fucking queue up to hell, wouldn't it? But nevertheless, we are obviously going to be looking at this with a critical eye, with view of seeing can this top some of the episodes you've watched already, and indeed of the original series. So, Jerry, obviously you at the start of the series you hadn't watched much of the original series, but you had been very pleasantly surprised with what you've seen so far. So would you say you're cautiously optimistic going into this episode of Amok Time?
Very much so. The fact that as I said, I hadn't seen much of the original series, just a few snippets and whatnot. But this was one of those. This is one of those episodes where you actually hear and see a lot more of in regards to other shows. Like I
Hmm.
believe we're talking about that particular music, and
Yes, we are.
I immediately think of I think it's a um not Father Ted, no,
Family
Jesus
Guy.
Christ. Thank you, Family Guy, where Peter has a very distinctive voice and he starts humming the music, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. So I knew a bit about it. I've seen clips over the years and whatnot, but with regards to actually watching the original seasons, I have been really really surprised,
Hmm.
because everyone goes on about how it's corny as hell, how Shatner is just overacted to fuck, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I haven't found that. I really, really haven't. I would have no problem calling Shatner out saying, Jesus, what was that? Like so over the top. I'm like, I'm really waiting for an episode where he is totally over the top. We actually haven't
Yeah.
watched one yet, but I think that's simply because obviously I haven't seen these episodes, so you're the one who has to choose them,
Hmm.
and you've seen them. So I think you may have guided me through just the best episodes so far.
I
We
will
haven't had
say,
a
well,
very hammy
we
one
said this
yet.
before. Yeah, we cherry picked a bit of what I would feel to be the best of the original series, especially through like how they translate now, because some of them are just like they're for the time. They're 60s, 70s goofy action nonsense, and that's where you see that very hammy kind of Kirk appearances. And a lot of it is for Shatner, a lot of it's from just Kirk himself being written so weirdly from week to week. These are kind of episodes where they kind of like they make sense nowadays when we're enjoying them as a modern episode as opposed to something that was kind of made as a trend for the time, kind of way.
Mm.
So yeah, no, I think that's definitely for sure. Yeah, I think this one definitely falls in that category anyway. because I don't remember any ham-fistedness in this, but you know yourself, you always be pleasantly surprised when you watch old school Star Trek. So
Mhm.
let's see if that same thing happens. So, Jerry, are you ready to start this episode?
I am ready to rock.
Excellent. So, as is the drill with this show, this is the best of all worlds. Quite literally, it's half watch along, half review. So, if you want to watch along the episode with us and just have us commentating over the background, you can. Using the streaming platform of your choice, you can just press play when we do. If not, you can skip about halfway through this episode, and you'll get our rundown of the episode itself, some special features, and then our review, and see how it ranks amongst the shows we've done already. But if so, you can join us right now. Jerry, we're about to click play. Are you ready? All right,
Ready?
then. I'll count us in on three, two, one, engage. Oh my God, Sasha Enterprise coming right towards us. Ah! There we go. My God, that ladder was shaky.
Yes. I said to yourself, where
Young
the fuck, where was he coming from?
from
Why wasn't he using the
outside.
turbo lift?
I'm Dr. McCoy, and I like waiting in turbo lifts for no reason. It was about a time a decade. Well, in fact, this is actually our first appearance of Majel Barrett in this series.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about Strange New Worlds. It really fleshes out why Chapel and Spock are friends and
Okay.
were meant to be love interests, but didn't quite get that far.
Well, I've not watched it yet, so
Mm. Shut the fuck up, you whore.
oh
Oh,
dear.
oh. Hmm.
Oh dear.
Oof. There's trouble in
That's
paradise.
an interesting start.
Yeah. Immediately you're being told something's wrong here. This is not right.
I do like the updated, the graphics
Yeah,
and this looks so much better than like one of the
it
actual
does.
original episodes.
And it's not overdone either. Like it's
Mm.
just a nice kind of reimagining of the original like title sequence. Like it doesn't do anything outside of that, you know.
Yeah. I like the fact that they don't actually change anything in the next generation one either. It's
No.
just HD.
Yes.
They just upgraded
Exactly. Yeah.
HD, and I'm like, please give us that. I don't care about Enterprise or Voyager. Just give us the HD Deep Space Nine. That's all I ask.
HDS9. Yeah.
Oh, because when you see part of the documentary,
Mm.
you see what the Dominion War could have been. I'm like, oh, look at that!
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it looked amazing,
Or you ever see
amazing.
the 4K upscalings of some of those battles?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. It looked amazing.
Mm. Spock, I told you it was a bad idea to listen to Andrew Trade this long. Ooh.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
I'm only noticing
Oh.
that now. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
murderous. That is Jesus. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in Star Trek.
very subtle, isn't it?
Mm.
Now it's center of the shot now. Now you can see it.
Yeah.
Always seen it.
Or four is not going to get you there very fucking fast, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's this? The Enterprise? NX-01?
NX-01. Sorry, I think Scotty's on paid leave. He's in the Highlands hunting fucking Loch Nessies.
Fuck's
So we can
sake,
only
Scotty.
manage. Yeah.
Had enough of your shit, Scotty.
Yeah. I'm hunting the Proudhons, Captain. Hmm.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. That's different as well.
Yeah.
Real extreme close up. Very good.
Hmm. And that's like again, the original like effect was the same way. So they just changed the way they did that as well. Ooh, this is sounds like a predicament. One of our first entries of Chekhov as well, I believe,
Hmm.
outside of the Trouble with Tribbles.
Oh.
Hmm. It's a very small thing as well, but like Nimoy is changing the way he talks.
Yeah.
He sounds very raspy, like he's been
It's the
shouting or
yeah, it's
something.
the tone as well.
Yeah,
It's Spock is he's very meticulous, his speech never alters in terms of speed, whereas this is
yeah.
slower. It's like
Mm.
he's like it's upsetting him. It's very, very good.
He's trying to keep it in or something like that. Oh, that was not meant.
Da-da-dum.
Dun dun dun.
And again, I don't see very much overacting from Shatner.
No.
Well, apart from that pose right
Oh my
there.
day. What? Get down off a dash, will you?
I should know me mouth.
Jesus Christ, get in for your fucking dinner, Leonard. Leonard James Nimoy. Oh, I'm full stock. I'm full naming you as well.
He's even it's like spluttering. It's like
Yeah. But this is the first indication that something wrong, like that's Vulcan oriented, as it were.
yeah. And the fact that very, very emotional.
Yes. Just gone.
Good luck.
his posture is different as well. Like his shoulders are kind of drooped down a bit.
The way he walks as well.
Yeah.
You do forget actually the type of boots that they wear in this show.
Mm.
They're high heeled.
Yeah. We got word.
That's interesting, actually. Now, when you look at the
Mm.
boots of McCoy and Spock, Spock's are much taller.
Yeah.
Like even that little shot there of the shaking hand.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's definitely like it's trying to make a point of you of telling the audience that something's still wrong. Chekhov looks like an actual child in this, by the way,
Yes. Very, very
doesn't he?
childlike, yeah.
Ooh. But I'm not going to explain why until the end of this commercial break.
You'd say to yourself, they've been part of the Federation now for
Mm.
100 years,
Yeah.
and they don't know what this is.
Yeah. They don't. That's the thing. That the Enterprise show tends to nix this a good bit because they T'Pol has Pon Farron out as well, and they know about it. So are we to believe that in 100 years they've forgotten about it, or the Vulcans just nix it as some sort of
They
urban
just
legend?
don't talk about it. Like,
Just
nah,
don't
that's
talk
not
about it. Yeah.
real.
Have you got some sort of weird Vulcan soup that you can eat? Again, down with the hands,
Mhm.
anxious.
Now, you see, there you go. You could
Those very,
use that to explain Enterprise.
yeah, very
The
few
very
that were
few that
involved.
know.
Yeah.
Wanker.
That's
I have a sour Mickey. Will you leave me alone?
essentially what this is. It's a Vulcan Star Mickey. I've got a bit caught in the loop, Captain. Loop? Yes, we have a loop. I do like his funky LED bulb that he has in that statue there.
Yeah. And the red kind of drapes.
The
Beautiful.
red drapes, yeah.
But in fairness, it does kind of offset the very kind of clinicalness of the starship.
Yeah.
That's very Vulcan.
It adds personality to it, yeah. You mean Vulcan and Vulcans? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh Jesus! Now the way Kirk's face was there a second ago, I'm like, it looked exactly like the Mike Myers mask that he's actually modeled
Yeah.
after. I'm like,
Yes.
oh fuck.
Lottery. Logically. It's orgy day. That just sounds like an unpleasant animal. So, damn you bears. I'm a horny animal.
Half Vulcan.
Indeed. But of course, you'd argue that the Vulcan side is taking over here. That also kind of makes the point, like, because if he's half Vulcan, is there a sort of psychosocial thing going on here where because he's been grown up in Vulcan like society, like he's even if he like physically could resist upon far more than most,
Mm.
does he still have to kind of obey the same cycles essentially in like
Yeah.
kind of like a way of synchronizing with them? The comedy stylings of Sulu and Chekhov.
Jesus Christ. Those are some fucked up looking skulls.
Yeah, that's a Gorn. That's a Borg. That's a turtle.
There's Martok.
Yeah, Gold Ducat. I am an old Starfleet admiral, and we all stare at telecoms like this back in the day. We don't look at them straight on. We look at them with a side slight profile and smugness. Yes, I have to furrow my brow. It's my job. There's another one. You'd say quite a logical choice there from Kirk. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh dear. Oh, Chia. Oh, Chia. Jesus. Your husband's not going to be very happy with you.
Are
Sack
you
you
kidding?
off
He's
the
direct.
show.
Are you kidding? He's directing this scene. I do love this little red cross on her Starfleet badge.
Yeah. I love that the lighting changes there.
Yeah.
Dirt. Dirt.
Built. Built. I apparently the soup that was draped on the wall there outside wasn't good enough for you, Mr. Spock. Oh, tell you. Fresh soup wanker. Kirk is like working through the mass in his head, going, "I'm going to see a massive Vulcan orgy. All right, I'm going to have to mentally prepare myself for that." When I bring back one of your males here, he's defective. His penis requires a factory reset. Over.
Fuck's sake.
Oh, just imagine someone to go, eh. A penny for Christine Chappell's thoughts right now.
Yeah.
And she didn't come down for the party anyway. Now that's a visual.
Even for back then, that actually looks quite good. Like,
Yeah, I do believe that's been. I'd say that's been HDified, but still it looks fabulous.
yeah.
It gives you a good idea of what type of world this is meant to be, even if with the kind of closed set feel here. I do like the hexagonal chimes. It's very because as many people will tell you, hexagonal is the most efficient shape in the world.
Mm.
That's why bees make them. In Soviet Vulcan, we gone coffin.
Jesus Christ.
Do, 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 do.
Dirt.
Built. They both require an adult. Hence why T'Pring was ready and waiting for Spock, because she knew. She knew it was time. I do like how they just kind of kept the camera here as the Vulcans just arrive.
Mm.
I love as well that the helmets are just repainted from the Romulans.
Yeah.
I don't know what that. Well, I don't know what that guy's wearing. Sorry, I thought I had a face mask, but all I've got is this handkerchief. And this is the first proper time of seeing this. The whole procedure.
I love how like you listen to her name. Her name is T'Pau.
Yeah.
And they use that in the next generation for a ship. The
Yes.
T'Pau.
Hmm.
But they tend to rehash Vulcan names,
They
which I
do,
don't
yeah.
get. Like, why? Just make up a new fucking name.
And this is a kind of a traditional thing where, like, like how many fucking Smiths and Joneses are there in the world?
Mm.
You could argue it's the same for Vulcan.
Oh,
Sorry.
dirty fucking look there.
I don't remember this character about having an accent,
Mm.
but it works quite well actually. And that comes from the original actress, who we'll get into later on in the guest starring. She's from Hungary, so that's where the accent comes from. Follow the bells, follow the bells. Ooh,
Uh-oh.
challenge. Here we go. Someone explain what the hell is this man wearing on his face? Oh. Quite outdated. They're the old enlightened Vulcans.
Hmm.
We'll take that as a yes. Hmm. Hmm. Ooh.
How he's even standing there, like,
Boom. Twist. I know Kirk pheromones are strong, but fucking hell, that's record time. That is. I think it's just like he's just like Spock is just in the background there, just like sitting like an NPC, just like I can walk fine, leave me alone. Oof. Don't use that against him. You are Team Purple. Fair go. So we fighting, yeah? I mean, if you've seen Shatner, he's ripped. Strength and conditioning. I think they're going for the Batman shaky cam here. I might as well risk my life in the process. I'll do it, but only if I wear green. Aha. Just that's a man ready to kill. You must now beat each other with shovels for my amusement. Move. I think he's just like has just not moved an inch. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Nips out.
The body doubles are terrible.
They're so bad.
Oh dear.
Don't make them like they used to, eh? That's a better shot now. Oof. That's a good bump. There was interference from the third corner. You consider it. Kirk was kind of hanging in quite well there, all the same. Round two. Lashes with added chestnuts. The, there you go. Just keep putting this on, lads. Oop. Oop. I think we have a winner. Mm-hmm. Easy Bones. You doing your hole. As beating go, this was quite gentlemanly.
Mm.
Ooh, twist.
You have become much known of the North People, Spock, almost a legend. But as the years went by, I came to know that I did not want to be quite so. I was out, and I could only divorce you by the time of the fish. There was also Stud, who wanted very much to be my counsel, and I wanted him. So Captain Morgan that he would not want, and so I would have Stud. You of it, he would free me as I had dared to challenge, and I would have Stud. He would not free, but save me. We would be gone. I would have your name, your property.
Total bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be. I don't know if you realize, but someone just got choked to death there because you wanted another man. Just pointing that out here. I mean, the logic is one thing. That is like Spock's Vulcan speak for she's a bitch ass hoe. You deserve each other.
But you can tell he's back to himself.
Bye bye.
Yeah, he's back to himself.
Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is actually the first time we see the Vulcan gesture.
Oh.
I believe so, yeah. And that was something that was improvised essentially on set by Nimoy. Mm.
I shall be resigning my commission. So I would wish to make final arrangements. Hawkeye, Doctor, please, let me finish. There can be no excuse. Crime of which I'm guilty. I intend to offer.
Look at this shit-eating grin. Hey. With a smile.
Please. See you.
So it was McCoy you saved the day in the end.
Yeah, good old McCoy.
Come on, tell us.
Laying a course for Power 60 over ready. Just one thing, Mr. Spock. Can't tell me that when you first saw Joe alive, one of the first emotional scene that would have bought the house.
They always have to end with a sitcom ending, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Can't help
It
themselves.
has to be done. Yeah, it has to be done.
But there you go. That's the episode. That's Amok time. So there was Amok time, and we saw Kirk die. He was all right in the end. You know, it shows you can't kill a good thing. Did you enjoy that episode? What did you think of it?
You know what, right? I really fucking like that.
It was not fun.
And this is the thing, right? We haven't scored this yet,
No.
right? I'm going to make a very bold prediction.
Ooh.
I think this is going to be the highest scoring original series episode that we've done, right?
Mm.
And I'm also going to say it's up in the top 5.
Interesting. Interesting.
And the
So you
reason
were
I
a
say that
real
is
big fan
because
of this episode then.
fucking sure I was from start to finish. See, the thing is, every other episode that we've watched of the original series, and I'm just going to bring up the music because I know we're going to be talking about it later on, but I just bring up the music now, is most of the episodes, the music is just rehashed, but it's not like they use the same thing every episode. It's like if they have a musical team that's A, B, C, and D, the next episode it might be A, bit of D, C, back to B, that type of way. So it's the same music but in different order. This was all new. I tell you, for a fucking original series, I loved that episode. Absolutely loved it. This is gonna be it's gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun.
This will be very, very fun. Let's see if your preemptive prediction plays out. In the meantime, however, we are going to do our little extra bits before we get into our review. So we'll start off first off with the with our guest stars. We have no ships in this one, as you may have guessed.
Nope.
Nothing there to speak about in that department, but we do have a few guest stars. I think this might be a first, but we actually have our first duplicate, our first repeat offender on the Best of All Worlds podcast here. So we're going to get this guy out of the way straight away. Lawrence Montaigne, we have seen already in our travels. He was playing Ston in this episode.
Vulcan. Yeah, I had a feeling I knew his face.
Yes, you did. And the reason you did is because he's already appeared in The Balance of Terror as Theseus, as the Romulan. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking knew
it. You can tell from the ears.
Yeah.
That was a joke. Of course, he was wearing a helmet. But yeah, so we've seen Lawrence already, and we've given his backstory as well. So he is already one that we can nip in the bud. This one though, I think is actually quite funny. Right? Is Byron Morrow. I won't quiz you on this one, Jerry, because this one's a bit of a cheat. But he's done 2 appearances in Star Trek, both in the original series. And hilarious enough as the same character but different names. So Byron Morrow appeared as the Admiral James Cormac in this episode. He was the guy with the furrowed brow and looking
and like this, talking to Kirk. You do as you're fucking told. You do as you're fucking told.
And remarkably enough, then he appears then in the 3rd season as Admiral Westerville, doing the exact same role.
Only from this side.
From this angle.
Fucking told.
What? I look nothing like Comac. See, my brow fur is on the opposite side. Anyway, so taking out the fact that he was typecasted significantly, Brian Morrow, who was born in September 1911, died in 2006, age 94. He was the first actor to appear as an admiral. He was the first admiral in Star Trek, would you believe? That's a fun fact for you.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because everything else before then has been Commodores. So that's something anyway. He is a war veteran, namely he was performing in theater productions during his tour of duty. So White Christmas was definitely based on him, I'm sure. But he also appeared in a lot of film and TV in the late 50s and amassed 200 appearances in the next 35 years of his career. Amongst them, you'd have The Twilight Zone and The Untouchables, Rawhide, naturally, you can imagine, Wagon Train, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Bewitched, Lost in Space, Quincy, of course, and multiple episodes of Bonanza, and Perry Mason as well.
It's all kind of typical of the time frame, really, isn't it? It's
very much so.
We've heard of other people in those shows, but not all of those shows. He's been in a shitload of shows.
Yes, absolutely. Like Mission Impossible, he would have been in, where Leonard Nimoy was there as well, and William Shatner was in The Magician. He was in the live action Beauty and the Beast as well, and he was also hilarious enough, like, again, not to say he was typecasted, but he also played 2 different admirals in the miniseries based on the novels of Winds of War and War of Remembrance. So not only in Star Trek was he two admirals, he was two admirals in other fucking things as well.
Fucking ridiculous.
Just when you see a guy's face, you go, Admiral. That's the way you look at him, you know.
It's like how
In regards
people
to
look at me. Bollocks.
bollocks, yeah, I know everyone says it.
Good old Colin Meaney.
Yeah, but especially Colin Meaney. Sure, he's only a bollocks. He retired from acting in 1991, and his last work was the Father Dowling Mysteries, and he died 15 years later in California. So again, quite a fucking career. You know, it's always intriguing when you get to this era of not necessarily Star Trek, but just in the 1950s generally, because a lot of these people were involved in the war, and you can kind of see like how they've had to cross over, and this one guy in particular having doing theater productions during his time during wartime itself is just a fascinating prospect. But it also clearly like paints how they act and behave as well, because he comes across quite stern and experienced in the way he talks. So you can imagine like that's just across the board for people who've had to go through that. You know, like it's not something you wash away fairly quickly, like, you know. So it's just very intriguing that way. Next up then is Arlene Martell, and she was the actress who played T'Pring. Bitch, never liked her. She was this is her only role in Star Trek, I should say. She died age 78 in 2014, and amongst some of her roles, curious enough, I think this is her only role, but she also had auditioned for various different roles in Star Trek. One of them was the role of Sylvia in Cat's Paw, but she didn't make the cut there, and instead made her to cast her as T'Pring instead. In regards to the actual character T'Pring herself, obviously she's recasted in Strange New Worlds, but in the fan film of Gods and Men, she returns as T'Pring, namely as a Vulcan priestess. I don't think as T'Pring herself, but it's the same actress doing the fan film, along with the likes of Tim Russ and J.G. Hertzler. I think he was in that role as well.
He played another Klingon in that one, but it's not like the mirror universe. It's like an altered timeline, is what I believe.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think I've seen bits of it, and it's a very odd kind of eclectic mix of people. It's like, holy shit, we got all these people in. Let's just write them in.
You've got the captain of the Enterprise B in it, and you've got Chekhov.
Yeah,
you've got Chekhov. You've got Uhura.
Yeah. Sarah Clofton was there as well.
Sarah Clofton's there as well. You've got Lita. Lita is in it.
Yes.
And you've also got, if I'm right by this, the Vulcan ambassador from Enterprise was there as well.
Yes, he was there as well. Yeah, and Chase Masterson or Gary Graham? How do you call it?
Chase Masterson is Lita.
Lita, yeah. So yeah, Gary Graham, I think it was, is there as well. So yeah, he was Saval. Yeah, that's right. There's tons of people there in that crowd. It was very weird. It was like, let's try and find all the ex-Trek alumni we can and just put them into a situation. Don't even write the characters, just put them in there.
That's exactly what happened. They were like, let's write something, and see who we can cast as what. And I was like, as soon as you had Herzl, I was like, Klingon,
Klingon, yeah,
Klingon, no one else. Absolutely straight away. No one else. Like, I think he's played. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say he's played more Klingons than anybody else, because there's one Vaughn Armstrong, I think might be
I think
one of
you
them
will
on
be
that
correct
one.
in that. You will be correct in that.
I think Vaughn Armstrong has to be the one that has played more characters than anybody else.
Well, when he comes across in our adventures, Jerry, we will be asking that question.
How have we not seen him in an Enterprise episode yet?
Because we've only done 2 episodes of Enterprise.
Oh, okay, well, fair enough. Yeah.
Two, yeah. So.
Jesus, because I remember the first time I saw him in Next Generation, and he was a Klingon.
Yes,
and it was the one with the first time you see him going rah when somebody dies.
Yeah,
that's the very first time I remember him. And he's been in Next Generation.
Yeah,
Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. So I don't know if I doubt he's been in any of the new stuff, but he's at least been in 4 different shows.
Yeah, as multiple roles.
Yeah, as multiple roles. And he's been in everything. Like he was in I think he was probably in Voyager more than anything else. He played so many characters in Voyager.
A lot of miscellaneous roles, didn't he? Like Yeah, they put them under different prosthetics and see what they get out of them. You know.
Klingons, Romulans,
Mm.
uh, random aliens.
Aliens of the week. Yeah.
You know his voice. You
Yes.
just know
Exactly.
his voice. You're like, okay, yeah, yeah.
It's very much like hers. Like the voices always get them away. You know, kind of way.
Firstly,
Like they
yeah,
can't hide that part. You know.
yeah.
Whereas I think Vaughn can get away with it a little bit, but Hertzler and like
Vaughn
Mark
gets
Allen
away.
definitely can't. Yeah.
No, Mark Almond can't get away with it. What's his name? Plays Wayoon.
Jeffrey Coombs is another
He
one. Yeah.
definitely can't get away with it. You just
No.
know it's him instantly. He played Ferengi. Some catsy fuckers
Yeah.
with weird mustaches.
Erosion. Yeah.
Erosion. Yeah.
Done everything.
So many different characters.
Yeah. It's mad, actually, isn't it? It must be like a little bingo card for people. Like, have you? Which ones have you done? I haven't done Cardassian yet. Well, we'll get you on the next series then for that. And see what happens. So, getting back to the actress Elaine Martell then, who played T'Pring. So, in terms of other roles that you may know her from, she was in fame mostly in the show Hogan's Heroes, from 1965 onwards. She was the underground contact known as Tiger, cast as a French woman, and basically kind of got a lot of her kind of big breaks from there. She was on other shows again. You can list them all here on your bingo card. You got Twilight Zone, The Untouchables, Perry Mason, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Gunsmoke, and then my favorite Martian, weirdly enough, and Bewitched. So again, a lot of shows at the time. She was also the female lead in the action film Angels from Hell, and she would women also in the movies Chatterbox, and she also was in 3 different Columbo episodes as well over the years. And I'll go for a fact for her as well. She was an animal rights activist who worked with Last Chance for Animals to basically prevent them from being sold for medical research. And she appeared in the HBO special investigating the subject. And she died in 2014 after some complications with a heart bypass surgery in California. But again, another fine career going by that, and obviously an impact outside of Star Trek as well, for the animal charities. In case you're wondering, T'Pring is now recast in Stranger Than Worlds by Gia Santu, who no doubt we'll get delving into if we ever come across that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And next up then to talk about is T'Pau, who, as we said, is a very famous name in Vulcan lore, as we were going to discuss here. But she is played by Celia Lovsky, who has been dead since 1979, but was actually born in 1897, remarkably enough. So she's one of 14 guest stars who were born in the 19th century on Star Trek. So there's a fun fact for you there. Excuse me. Now, as I said, she was born in Vienna, but she is of Hungarian descent as well. But she was born, so that's where the kind of Austria-Hungary accent comes from, if you will, and that kind of comes across in there. So, again, she's a fascinating character here, going by the details here. So, her father was a classical composer from Czechia, and her she studied the Royal Academy, went on to in stage plays in Austria. She met Hungarian actor Peter Lorre, which she later married. Peter Lorre, on the other hand, I think you would know him more as, where would we know him as? Because his name does ring a bell. Yes, that's how I recognize his name. He was Alfred Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Oh,
that's how you know him from. Yes,
interesting.
Yes, I recognize his name somewhere. So they married, and he was also they basically like kind of helped get him cast in various different movies, like M, which was in 1931, and they divorced in 1945, but they were still friends and still continued all throughout their life. Now the fascinating thing was that as much as he tried to get more work, her auditions were always hampered by the accent. She couldn't get rid of the strong accent she has here, and obviously she'd get a lot of kind of character and roles that way, but she couldn't get cast as an American or anything like that, solely because the accent was too thick. So in terms of other roles she's done, she played the mother of Lon Chaney, who was a deaf mute herself in A Man of a Thousand Faces, and where she learned American Sign Language. Fun fact. And she was also in the movie Foxfire as an Apache princess. And obviously then we get we get her in Amok time here as the Pell. I basically the from the movie essentially with Foxfire, they kind of remembered kind of like Outlovsky and both the actor or rather the scriptwriter for the episode, which was Theodore Sturgeon in this case, and Leonard Nimoy, both agreed that Lovsky is the only person who could play T'Pau. So Nimoy had a lot of input in this episode, as you can tell.
Yes, you 100% can tell that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes into the case then with the kind of formalities and so forth. So, hilariously enough, she wasn't able to perform the Vulcan salute that Spock had, or rather Nimoy had created. So she had to actually do it like that, like force her fingers into position essentially, and then do it basically off camera, which is quite amusing to me. In terms of one of our other roles, again, a lot of ones from the time Bonanza being the main one, to the Twilight Zone, and the Alfred Hitchcock Presents show as well. And that's essentially it, really. She was also in actually the movie Silent Green, would you believe? So you probably see her there, and she died of natural causes in 1979, age 82. So there you go. That's T'Pau. Perhaps, like in canon, one of the most important Vulcans, but obviously only in one episode here in the second season. So there we go. There.
But you can tell by Kirk's reaction when he sees her, like he's like saying to McCoy, "Do you know who that is? That's that's T'Pau. That's T'Pau."
They do make a case of taking her up almost from the start. Which I think is a good way of kind of setting up the stakes of the episode, which I think is a good thing in that sense.
Yeah.
So we have one more role to talk about here. Is one of the old favorites, as you can imagine, from Star Trek Gone By, and that's Majel Barrett Roddenberry. It's our first time seeing her in this series, but believe me, it's not the first time of hearing her, because you'll know her from pretty much every computer voice in the Next Generation, all the way to Deep Space Nine, to Voyager, and even after her death, she provided voice notes and clips that we can use in future episodes. Absolutely exceptional work. I don't think we need to really say much about Majel Barrett, but however, I will quiz you, Jerry, on how many roles she has had over the years.
Oh, that's it. Oh, you bastard. Okay, well, obviously she played Roxana Troy.
Yes, that's how we would probably know her the most, wouldn't it?
Yeah, she played the computer.
Yes.
She played the nurse that we saw there.
Nurse Chapel.
And I suspect there's one more in the original series.
There is.
It's got to be the original series, because I don't know anything else that I don't think there's anything in Voyager. Enterprise, no. I'm gonna go with 4.
And you're right with 4.
Fuck yes.
So you were right with Roxana Troy and the Enterprise computer. You'd argue as a voice actor, but we'll accept that one in that case. And of course, Christine Chapel from the original series, and in the 2 movies, the motion picture and the Voyage Home, she appears as well as Christine Chapel. However, her other role actually comes from the first ever episode of the original series, which was The Cage. She was
number one.
Who we later find out to be Una Chin Riley, as fleshed out in Strange New Worlds.
Is that her name?
Yes, Una Chin Riley. Yeah. So, I think the whole idea is he's meant to be half Irish, but that's not really fleshed out. But you'll see more when the series when you get stuck into the series itself.
Yeah.
Now, what's very interesting is, and I didn't want to add this into it, but the voice work is really where Majel Barrett adds up her performances. So, physical roles, yes, we kind of count the computer voice as kind of a main entity of that, because, like I said, you see her in every Star Trek episode up to that point. However, if you're to count the Star Trek animated series, she has 15 roles.
Fucking hell. 15 roles in total, or 15 just in the animated series?
15 just in the animated series.
Fuck off.
So she plays two characters in the episode Yesteryear, which is Gray and Amanda Grayson. She plays the voice of a cosmic cloud in the episode And One of Our Planets Is Missing. She also plays Chapel in that episode, in the series as well, as a reoccurring character. She's also another reoccurring character in the original series, which is Imres, which is one of the Kzinti members of the crew. And she's also Thela in the Lorelei Signal. I think Thela is a more prominent character than that over the years. I feel like that rings a bell, but no, I am wrong about that. Actually, it's just a one-off. She's also the Queen of Hearts in Once Upon a Planet, which is the kind of Alice in Wonderland spoof. She's one of Mud's girls, Laura, in Mud's Passion. She's 4 of the Agwans in the Ambergris element, which is insane. And she was also the voice of a slaver weapon in the titular name, the slaver weapon. She's also Randy Bryce in The Eye of the Beholder, and the Huron Lieutenant in the Pirates of Orion. So, much like herself, like the original series, we don't really touch in this series at the moment. But very much her and James Doohan have the kind of monopoly on the voice acting for the animated series, and that really comes across.
Did Shatner do any of it, actually?
They absolutely did. Now, Major Barrett and James Doohan did the bulk of the miscellaneous characters, like the kind of the character of the week and so forth. But Shatner and Michelle Nichols and George Takei, they all kind of chipped in with voices themselves, you know. But certainly the actual range of versatility, like you don't see any further than Majel and James Doohan for that. Particularly Majel doing the bulk of the female characters in the show, and that certainly comes the case here. Even when like you can actually see the versatility comes out really in the 3 characters she has on Star Trek alone, because with Christine Chapel, she's very sensitive and very traditional nurse-like, if that is one way to look at it. Whereas with number 1, she's a very authoritative. She's comfortable in the role. She has a natural command into her, and like she doesn't seem out of place in the kind of like because like we have to remember at the time when that pilot was being made, it is weird to have women alongside men at a similar kind of like responsibility role. That's even why Pike draws reference to it herself. Like he finds it, he's still getting comfortable with having women on the bridge. We kind of interpret that as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment now, whereas that was at the time trying to make a point of like, hey, look, women can do these things too. You know. But yeah, that's the whole point. And then obviously Laxana Troy, she is just the eccentric mother-in-law, and she's superb at it. Like I think it's her best role by a country mile. And at one point we're gonna have to cross her in her paths.
Oh, I hope so.
Today is not that day, Jerry. We do not have to inflict Laxana Troy on Picard or on us or on anyone else.
Or Odo.
Or Odo, for that matter. Yes, absolutely. But yes, very amusing in that sense. But yeah, in terms of her other roles, I don't think we need to really say any more about it, because there's a reason why she's called the First Lady of Star Trek. Like she is a very a genuine embodiment of why people come back to Star Trek as well, because there's a certain continuity in hearing her in every episode, you know, even where it's a computer voice or seeing her as Troy, or even in the original series seeing Chapel every now and then. She never really gone away from Star Trek, you know, and that's one way to look at it. And again, yes, she was married to Gene Roddenberry, and that does help out a lot, but she's a genuine actor in her own right, you know. Like she had a career before and after Star Trek at the same time. For example, in some of Gene Kelly's comedy The Guide to the Married Man and Track of Thunder, she was in both of them as supporting roles. She was in Bonanza, The Second 100 Years, Here Come the Brides. She was in all these movies, and she was in Westworld, the original Westworld, that is, not the one that J.J. Abrams wrote.
Really?
Yeah, she was Miss Carey in that movie, and she was also in Domino Principle in 1977, and The Suicide's Wife.
A lot, wasn't he? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. She did a few independent movies, and hilariously enough, she was also in Babylon 5 in a guest role. She was the widow of the Centauri Emperor in one of the episodes of Babylon 5.
Of course, fucking Mayel Barrett would go up to be the Emperor's wife. For fuck's sake.
Look, Don't shoot the messenger. Excuse me. For example. But she also made an episode, an appearance in the episode Diagnosis Murder, which was basically gag appearances. The episode was called Alienated, and all of like Trek alumni appear in the episode as well, like George Takei and Will Wheaton and so forth. So let's call it a crossover episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was also in in Family Guy, funny enough. In the episode called Mission Impossible, she provided the voice of Stewie's sperm ship in that one. And I mean, you can enjoy that sense of humor, can't you?
Yes, of course you can.
You know,
She didn't take life too seriously. You know, you can tell she just wanted to have fun, really. You know, and I'd imagine that's what Star Trek gave her, was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I certainly get that impression that, like, you know, again, we weren't backstage, we don't know the kind of the whole stories, but I'm sure that's absolutely the case. It certainly comes across in the roles anyway, because she had a lot of fun with Lixana Troy.
Yeah, that was such a great role, and she owned that role. Like, Jesus, she really did. Yeah, that was probably one of the best characters in Star Trek is Lixana Troy. Did we get her twice or three times in Deep Space Nine?
Twice? 3 times. She appeared in like it's basically the kind of the non-Dominion series she appears in, like the beforehand, like kind of the character building one. She's there. I love it, Odo, and then one or two, I think, with was it one with Jake? Was it, or was it one with Nog, something like that, or Quark? There was something like that anyway.
No, she did. She did two. She did two with Odo. She did one with Odo where they were trapped in an elevator. It's the very first time you see him.
That's a great episode, actually.
Yeah, it's actually. I only watched it the other day, actually. And the next one is when she's running away from her husband.
Yes,
I think she's pregnant. And she's running away from her husband, and the only way to get out of it is to marry somebody else, and she has to marry Odo.
Yes, that's
so.
Right.
It must have been only 2 episodes then she was in. I would have loved to see more of her in it. Because there's one, like, there's an episode where you instantly think of her and Counselor Troy, is when the Dominion invade Beta Z.
Yes.
And you say to yourself, the first thing that came to my mind was, I wonder where Lixana Troy is. I wonder where she is. But no, she was a great actress. Some great character in Star Trek. Brilliant.
I'm just saying. Yeah, she was in 3 episodes of Deep Space Nine. Because because one with the two, there was 2 with Odo, and she was also there for the Gratitude Festival in the episode Fascination. So she visited Bajor. That's what she was on. So it's kind of more of a pair up with the Bajor.
Oh yes, that's right. It's actually, she causes the fucking thing.
Yes,
it's all because of her. Yes. I remember it now. Yeah.
So yeah, we were halfway between the two of us, and that makes it all the well complete. So
no, you were wrong. Fuck you.
Oh, that's just harsh. In any case, that's all of our guest stars for this episode, and that means now we can skip all the and get stuck into the scoring. So, Jerry, I'll let you take away from here because my throat is dying of death. What do you think of the plot of this episode?
Absolutely fucking excellent. From start to finish. Really, really good episode. Plot. Obviously, the whole idea of it is that there's something wrong with Spock. He needs to get back to Vulcan ASAP, or as Dr. McCoy said, he will literally fucking die.
Yeah.
So it's a thing where it's something new, it's something different, it's something never seen before. We've very, very little knowledge of it, even when you watch the likes of Next Generation and Voyager. I think you see a lot more of it in Voyager.
With Tuvok, yeah.
Yeah, with Tuvok and with what was that other Vulcan?
Oh yeah.
He was going
one.
Yeah, he was going through it with B'Elanna Torres, which was interesting. So you do see a lot of it there as well. But I thought for an older episode, and to see the change in Leonard Nimoy's Spock is fantastic. So the plot, it is my favorite of the original series episodes so far. And let's be honest, we have had some good episodes.
We have picked the best one so far.
It's my favorite. So for me, the plot, it's got to be a 9 to a 10.
I agree with 9 actually.
I'll
Because
go
I
with
think the
9.
actual
I'll go with
premise,
9 then. Yeah, I think the idea of it is fantastic
yeah,
because it's something that it's genuinely something you don't think about. You don't
Hmm.
think about different mating rituals of aliens. You don't. It's not something,
yeah, no, fair, yeah, yeah.
especially when they're humanoid, especially when you look in the likes of Star Trek
Hmm.
and even Star Wars. You don't think of Jesus, could be different. There's only one time that I've ever thought about it is that it was Undiscovered Country when they're on Rurapente and
Hmm.
Kirk thinks he's kicked a knee, and it's not a fucking knee that he's kicked.
There's a ball, yeah.
And you're like, well, if that's there, where's the rest of it? And you're like, oh, or was
Hmm.
the leg not actually a leg? You know what I mean?
Well,
It made you fucking think, and that's the only other time I've thought about it. But with the stuff like this, it's like, okay, so they only mate once every 7 years. If they don't mate, they go into it.
yeah,
And they go absolutely fucking ape shit. That's why it's good. That's what you say to yourself. That's why they got arranged marriages so they don't fucking kill themselves.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, actually, even that aspect of it is so consistent with their premise because the Vulcan society is supposed to be so logical to a fault. It's structured. It's everything is like everything has a reason and answer.
mm-hmm.
So it would make sense that they would like arrange a marriage over around 7 year cycles and so forth. Like it makes a certain level of logic to it, if you pardon the pun. What I liked about this episode, like I think I certainly would agree with you on 9 in that sense because I think the episode is very, very good at telling you outright from the start, this is a different episode. This is new. There's no opening smooth preamble here. It starts off with McCoy going, Spock's in serious shit here. And they go, okay, now we know this episode's about Spock. Let's see what's happening with Spock. Oh, fuck, he's throwing a soup at the window. Okay, that's that. He's not meant to do that. That's bad. So, yeah, I think this episode has done that really particularly well. So I think 9 is a fair shout there. Next up is setting. And this is a strong category for me as well, Jerry, because we see a lot of different things in this episode.
Yeah.
Even small things like Spock's quarters, very different looking. With
That's
the
just
whole,
it. I don't think that's a small thing because this episode is about him, so you have to see his own unique personality. He's not just a straight edge, quiet talking, no zero emotional fucking Vulcan. You go into his quarters and you see something very different. You've got the red drapes, you've got the decoration, you've got the weapons on the wall, and you're like, weapons on the wall? This guy, why is there weapons on the wall? And it just goes to show you that he's not exactly what we believe him to be. And then of course it's the incidents of with the knife behind his back and throwing the soup, destroying the console, stuff like that. You're like, this is a very different Spock, and they're all from different areas of the ship. We got to see a little bit of obviously sick bay. We've got to see Spock's quarters. We've never
I like
seen
McCoy's area there as well, by the way.
that was very good.
Skulls.
Yeah. The skulls, and some of those skulls are real weird fucking looking things. That was good. Then you've got down on Vulcan itself.
Yes.
And I thought that was fantastic. Absolutely, but this is what I don't understand about certain things within Star Trek, and like the likes of clothes and home planets and stuff like that. It's like they're all so technologically advanced, and the thing you think of is if you look at Earth, and Earth is obviously as technologically advanced as Vulcan is now. They've caught up and all that, right? But you look at Earth, and there's nowhere on Earth that's like Vulcan. There's just not. Like there's all cities, and they're all modern, and it's all fantastic. And you even look at like you look at Vulcan, you're like, okay, they do have cities, but there's a lot of barren wasteland around these cities, and even those cities they don't look like Earth might look. Even when you obviously you look at Romulus. Romulus is by and large far more superior to Vulcan in terms of the layout, the structures.
It looks closer to us.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So I've never gotten that about that, but I thought Vulcan itself, when you see obviously it is an updated version, with the graphics and whatnot. But when you see it, it looks great. You see the city in the background. This is obviously like a testing ground where they're going for this particular ceremony.
Yeah.
It is what you've come to expect. It's quintessentially kind of yellowy brown Vulcan.
Yes.
That's what it is. Absolutely fantastic. Um, it's another high one for me. I think I'm gonna go an 8 to a 9 on this one.
Yeah, I was gonna meet in the middle and go 8.5. And
Let's
again,
go with that. Yeah.
it's with the reasons you said, because uh again, with original series you have to give a bit of leeway when they're trying to do an alien planet. They are gonna have to do it on a stage. They have to do it on a set. So what are they trying to do differently? And I think what comes across in the language is like, yeah, I think I know they're trying to just like kind of like spitballing stuff here, but there was a bit of a reason to it. You know, like when Spock was describing the Vulcan way, as in a lot of it is logic, but every now and then there is that little bit of the proverbial mean streak, that there is violence behind, there is aggression and so forth. And it doesn't come across in this episode really, but in other works of Star Trek, they explain how the Vulcans do like previously had come from a time that logic was essentially a way of keeping the Vulcans in place, preventing them from tearing each other apart.
Yeah.
So even when you were talking about how Vulcan looks so barren, like it's almost like it's on Mars, you know, that's the way I kind of always looked at it. It's like it's very Martian type of feel to it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's all it was. It was to say, here, let's have an environment that's like Mars and make it a bit relatable to us, which again perhaps gives a reason to be here, because you could make the argument that the Vulcans had basically ravaged the planet enough to the point of extinction, at which point logic takes over as a way of keeping the society going, and since then they've been able to make use of what they've had now, as opposed to tearing the planet apart and killing themselves off. So you could argue that is actually the consequence of not finding this kind of social structure before then. But I don't actually know that that's true, and that was the way I kind of looked at it from a fan's point of view, a presumption, if you will, on my side. But yeah, perhaps not a bad assumption to make. Next then is writing, and again, a strong enough category for me. It certainly sells its style out very quickly by telling you what this episode is about, and it's hard to, for us as modern fans, it's hard to gauge this episode on its own merits, because for all intents and purposes, this is the first time they're giving you a delve into Vulcan lore. This is the first time they're doing any of this, and that's quite an important point to make, is that it's the first time they're putting in Vulcan language. They're the first time they're putting in the gestures. They're doing the formalities and all this sort of thing. This, like, for one thing, the purpose, the Vulcan race outside of Spock is a blank slate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done the bit with Balance of Terror where the Romulans look a bit like Vulcans and there's a bit of a shared ancestry there. But we already know what the Romulans look like. We've set this all out with them. They are very clearly Centurion based and Roman inspired and so forth. So what do we do with the Vulcans? And you can see from the set dressing and from the way the guards are dressed, there's a little bit of crossover with the Romulans, and that's fair enough. That's, look, you make use of what you have as well back in those days. But the culture comes across. It's very formal. It's very takes a lot of inspiration, I find, from Hindi and Islam culture, especially with the predetermined marriages, the very kind of like the religious like loyalty to certain things, and the kind of restraint in some aspects of it. So I think it's quite a hybrid culture in that sense. And then obviously the actual gesture itself then comes from Hebrew. It's actually it's a Hebrew symbol for peace. Yeah, I think the story is around somewhere, but as I'm loosely remembering this, but I think it was Leonard Nimoy, being Jewish himself, basically saw the symbol in the synagogue. Now it's a point where, like, in the process where you're supposed to have your eyes closed, not to look at the I can't remember the Hebrew priest's name.
Rabbi,
thank you, Jerry. Now I'm supposed to look at the rabbi during all this, so he's like scripting the texture in old Hebrew, and while everyone has his eyes closed, he has the symbol up as he's doing it. It's not this exact symbol; it's something like similar to that or whatever it is. It's a variation of that. But Leonard Nimoy, as a child, he remembers opening his eyes almost by accident, and seeing him doing this hand, kind of his thing with his hand up in the air, and he used that then as inspiration for the Vulcan gesture. So when he was working on this episode with the writers, he was going like, here's what we can do for this whatever it is, and then obviously works with Celia to make this work as well. So all this was all kind of work crafted essentially from a combination of Hebrew culture, Hebrew doctrine, and social structures from Hindi and Muslim life. Which again, this is in the 60s, where the level of information is not the same here. You're reading this stuff as if it's alien in of itself. You know, this is the first penetration of those kind of parts of their culture into American television. You know, or like sometimes you'll hear it as kind of an urban legend or a rumor. You know, if you didn't know. Because bear in mind, at this stage, the only way Americans would know about this is if they fucking invaded the place, right? That's how they know about these things. So from that right aspect, I gave it really, really strong points. I think once it goes through the initial premise and the hook, I think it just follows the story beats. I don't get those anything really, really different, except for the end where they twist that Kirk was alive the whole time. That was quite good, and then just fizzes out quite naturally. So for that, I'd probably give it to an 8.5, but I'm happy to be corrected on that, Jerry. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't really. You just say it so much there. I'm just like, yeah, no, keep going.
My throat today says otherwise, and I really do apologize for that. I'm having a very bad day with my throat. So.
You know what? I can't add anything to that. I think you said everything that was needed to be said. It's very well done. In terms of scoring, though, what'd you say? 8.5.
8.5 is what I was thinking. Yeah,
I'll go 8.5.
8.5 again, then. Yeah. So again, it has been a strong start, all right. Now, next up then is acting, and Jerry, this is your wheelhouse. I will let you take the lead from here. Now, you were saying you haven't seen enough Shatner overacting here. A little bit, but not much.
There was only slightly, and we hadn't really seen much of it. And then we saw him standing there like the angry mother. Get into the fucking house. Get in, you little bollocks.
That was quite funny.
That was fun. That was fucking hilarious. In terms of, I'm not going to go on about Shatner's overacting. There was a few little bits in it, but not much. But my God, was Nimoy just fantastic in this episode. Wonderful. Anything from the emotional outbursts to how his speech changed to being Captain Spock normally speaks like this, and it changed to I don't know what I'm doing, and he put an edge to it. He slowed it down. He had pauses in between. It was force, the shaking hand, the fidgeting, the way he stood, the way he walked. It was kind of like slumped. It was fucking fantastic. McCoy was McCoy. The Vulcans, you have to say, you look at Vulcans from the original series, then you look at Vulcans from say Voyager, Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, and they're very, very different. They're very, very different. The ones in Enterprise and not Enterprise maybe, but maybe Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Next Generation are all literally blocks of stone. They're all they're all datas.
Yeah,
that's what they are. They're all datas. Whereas even in Enterprise and in the original series, there are little glimpses of, apart from Spock in this episode, there are glimpses of emotion and the speech. Obviously, it's just a lot of them are just blow-ins, so they don't really know how to play the character properly, which is fine. But even then, the acting was quite good. I think, was it to Pen or to Pren?
To Pring.
We didn't see much of her, but I thought she was particularly good. Just for me, like the absolute standout is Nimoy, and he is absolutely fantastic. And I'm not going to go low on this either, so I'm going to go to 8 to 9 on this one.
I'm willing to go 9 for Nimoy here, because, as I said, like I think for Kirk himself, like I think he, like, I wouldn't say Shatner takes the back seat or anything, but like there's actually not a bad performance by anybody in the cast here.
No,
strictly speaking, like again, the Vulcans, like a lot of people who are drafted in to be Vulcans are being told not to show emotion, not to act. It's very counterintuitive for them, and for all intents and purposes, I think they actually did it quite well. They actually pulled it off. Especially Nimoy, like again, Nimoy now being the center of attention, he can really see it in him. He wants to make this episode work. He really, really wants to flesh out the Spock character.
That you can tell it really comes across like that. It comes across that he had some sort of input in it because obviously he
Yeah,
did. It comes
100%.
across that he is he's acting his fucking socks, shoes, jocks, trousers, short off in this one. His acting is just absolutely fantastic. You can tell from every minute that he's on screen, he's trying his damn hardest for this to be absolutely stellar, and it was stellar.
It was absolutely stellar. There's no doubt about that. Even I think McCoy, like, hilarious enough being the voice of reason in an episode where he typically wouldn't be the voice of reason. I think actually, like, that actually expressed how absurd the whole situation is, you know, kind of way. So, like, but also, like, and this will kind of come more in other sections, but also kind of shows the relationship between the main three. Where, like, if Spock is having a bad day, McCoy normally almost kind of slots in to be, "Damn it, Jim, what are you doing this for?" type of voice of reason. In the same way that you'd imagine if McCoy was having a crazy day, which he will do in a couple of episodes' time, Kirk or Spock will fill the role of, like, okay, we need to be technobabble, blah, blah, blah. Let's try and make a solution to this, you know. So there is a kind of like a three-way yin yang to how they all operate.
Yeah,
and that comes across a lot towards the end of the episode as well, when everything's fine, you know. But I think what makes it annoying for me, very close to a 10, is that one little flicker of smiling that Spock does when he realizes that Kirk wasn't actually dead.
Yeah.
That's the one, like, you know, that small, like, that, like, it clearly, like, you know, obviously the blood rage is gone in that sense, but the actual emotional wave is still just a little bit there.
Yeah,
but
you have to understand as well, it's always going to be more difficult for him because he's half human.
Exactly. Yeah, you know? That's the thing.
So I don't mind that.
No, neither do I. I think it actually makes sense that it does show emotion, that he does see it. Because otherwise, like, you'd be kind of saying, well, he's a little bit too stoned. Then surely you'd see a bit of change there. I know they do that a lot more in Discovery, and that's kind of down to the writing and so forth. And in Strange New Worlds, you see a little bit of it too. But I think in this episode, you got the balance right, and that shows for sure. Another strong category you have to say is the action. It's a fucking dynamic episode. There is a lot of shit happening.
It is. Now the thing is, it's not. I would look at the action as it's not just the fight between Kirk and Spock. It's the things that happened, the things that could have happened. You know, Spock's there with a knife ready to stab Kirk, and the way I look at it is, he's not just going to stab him in the belly. He's going to stab Kirk in the neck, because that's where he deserves it the most, the dirty bastard. Jesus Christ.
You were paraphrasing Spock's brain here at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was doing. The parts where he throws the soup out, he destroys the console, he's ready to fucking kill with the knife, you know, and then, of course, there's the actual action. Now, I am going to take a point away for having some damn terrible looking fucking extras.
Oh, I'm docking points in the effects for this one, so yeah, you go ahead with that.
They were terrible.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible. The only thing that made them look like the other two is because they were in the same clothes. That was it. That was it. But in terms of action, you know, you've got that beautiful score in the background. You've got the fact that they're going at each other with these fucking might as well call them like the Vulcan versions of batlets, because that's kind of what they are.
Yeah, I kind of thought them as like really sharp shovels. They were like very like, they're blunt. They're like very unpleasant looking weapons. Like,
yeah, very, very. But I thought action was very good. It's another good category, another high scoring category. I gotta go an 8 on this one because I just thought it was good.
I agree with 8. I agree with 8 on that one, Jerry. Absolutely. So you mentioned you took points off for the stunt doubles in this episode. I'm taking points off in the effects department because again, look, it's a time, but we are going to knock points on it if we're going to look if it takes us out of the fight in this one, because my goodness, that was bad. But look, these things happen. It's we weren't meant to notice at the time. So clearly we're supposed to be like, oh my god, it's Shatner and Nimoy fighting to the death, blah, blah, blah. I would say though, props to at least them doing a little bit of the close-ups. You know, they did the close-ups together.
Yeah.
Everything
No, in
sucks.
fairness, there was. I won't call them stunts, but there were times they were throwing themselves on the ground.
Yep.
They were avoiding shots from the extras and whatnot. So
Hmm.
the actual Nimoy and Shatner stuff was actually good.
Yeah.
Their stuff was good. It's just when you see, like, they didn't even try and hide it. You know,
No.
I can think of, there's a Deep Space Nine episode I can think of. It's when where Martok takes the Rotaran for the first time,
Hmm.
and then there's a fight scene near the end of that between him and Worf, and the extras are fucking shocking.
Yeah.
They are shocking. Like, even the fight between Gowron and Worf at the end of the Deep Space Nine
Yes.
was, they hit it better. But no, geez, when it's so blatantly obvious that it's not actually the character, it's not the actor that plays the character, it's fucking shite.
Yeah.
You know, but
It takes you out of the scene.
fair play to Nimoy and Kirk for doing some of the work. You know,
Yeah.
because they did some of the work, and it was actually quite good.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I also would say, like, I think it's some of the effects. We probably see some of the physical props. They look a bit. They kind of come across a bit flaky, but it's also. It's kind of a pro and negative in that sense, because I think the props look grand, like visually, when they say, like, okay, that kind of does look a bit like stone or malachite or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then obviously when then Spock hits it, it's kind of smashed the fuck, you know. So
yeah.
I think that's like the initial thing. Like, the initial thing looks good, and then it looks a bit kind of light, is the way I'd look at it, you know.
Yeah.
But again, that depends on your point of view, whether it's like it's more effective getting across how strong Spock was. But then, if he's that strong, then why didn't he just like pummel fucking Kirk's brain in, you know, kind of way?
Yeah.
So that's your point of view. Like I said, I did take a few points off it, but I kind of gave them back for the Vulcan, shall we say, the haberdashery, if you will.
I would give a point or two back as well, simply for McCoy's skulls. I thought they were very good.
Yeah.
And they're looking, going,
true.
what? I was like, what in the name of fucking evil Picard are we looking at here? Like, it's just skulls everywhere. I'm like, oh, you evil bastard. How you euthanized these, didn't you bastard? You know.
That's where you got the nickname from.
Yeah. Bones. Oh my god.
I didn't want to say it, Jerry, but I mean, it was staring us right in the face.
How did we not get that?
There's much better fucking explanation than the one that.
Now, in fairness, when you look at him, you think the reason he calls Bones because he's a skinny fuck, not because he's an actual murderer of aliens. He has all these
mass
fucking
murderer.
skulls.
Yeah,
he's a mass murderer. That's what he's got. So I would certainly give points back for that. But no, I interrupted you. You were scoring, so you go ahead.
I'm gonna leave it at 7.
I'll go with 7 with you as well. It probably was. This was probably the weakest category through the whole thing. Everything else is fairly fucking high, but this was the weakest one, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And now for me, the strongest category is the score.
Oh my god! I have to just say it now. I'm just saying it now.
Do we say it together?
It's 10. A 10.
Yeah,
it's a 10, and it's not just for the fight scene music. There were certain scenes where Spock is in his quarters, and it's building up, and it's building up, and it's building up. Even like when he has the knife behind his back, it's like almost sinister. You're like, this is very different from Star Trek. This is different. This is good. This is wow. And it's just it doesn't need any more explanation from me anyway. It doesn't need any more. It's a 10. Sorry.
But even now, like I remember that part, but when I wrote the episode back, I didn't remember the other aspect of the episode. Like I said, the kind of the guitar, the ding 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 ding.
Yeah,
ding,
this is what I said at the start. Every other episode that we've watched has had different music in it from time to time, but it's mostly the same. And different areas that it plays that, or there's a few that type of thing. Whereas this, like, majority of the music in this episode was new, was fresh, it was sinister. There we go. That's the word I'm going to use. It was sinister,
yeah.
Because this is not the Spock we know. It's something very, very wrong. And there you go. It's an easy 10. An easy 10.
It's probably the easiest 10 we've had for score in a long, long time.
For a score, yes.
Yeah. Like it is like because like I have so many fucking pluses on my calendar because every time I see a music that suits the team, it's like ding 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 ding. Even as I said before the actual battle, the preamble to that music is when everyone's kind of moving around and Spock's getting his waistband put on and all these sort of things.
Yeah.
The music is nearly kicking in.
Yeah,
It's waiting.
it's building.
It's
It's
pacing.
building. It's
Yeah.
building. It's building. It's not right there, and then boom, it goes into it. And this is definitely the easiest 10 for score I think we've ever had on the show. We've
Yeah.
obviously given 10s before for score. I'm assuming with the top two, best of both worlds, and
In the pale moonlight.
in the
Yeah.
pale moonlight, we gave 10 to both of those. I'm assuming.
Yes.
But I don't think it was quite as easy as this one because
Oh no, this
is just
simple.
this is just iconic.
Yeah.
You know, I really love Best of Both Worlds for the simple fact that it's almost a team for this is why it's what I never got in Star Trek. Only one race apart from the Federation has its own team.
Yeah.
And that's the Klingons.
Yes.
They're the only ones that actually got their own team. And I'm like, you lads, you missed a trick with that.
Yeah.
And especially with a call to arms, Deep Space Nine call to arms, when the Dominion got that music. Oh, when we fucking that will be the easiest 10. That one right there will be the easiest 10 for score. Guaranteed easiest 10. But yeah, this was just
I'd be willing to say that this is actually the best scored episode we've had in this series so far.
Yeah.
No, it's not even close. Like I said, we gave 10s to In the Pale Moonlight, Best of Both Worlds, Conspiracy got high as well. But and in no small part, all these ones, but they don't come close to this. This is what happens when you have an episode that has its own music suite.
Yeah.
This music reminds you of this episode. And it's very, you know what? It reminds me of the Mirror Universe episode, the first ever one. And you get switched back and you hear the it's like, okay, that's fucking weird. I don't like that music. It's very creepy. But again, when you watch the original series back, they reuse that music quite a bit. They reuse it for the Romulans. They reuse it for like, oh no, this bad thing has happened. It's almost like a lot of this shit has happened. Oh fuck, you know. So like,
yeah,
and I think even in Picard, they use that sting now for the Borg. It's like, no, that's the wrong sting. What the fuck, you know? But that's hindsight now. I think working 2020. But yeah, that's an easy 10 for me. Next up then is scene. Again, this is the category where we pick out the most iconic ones of the episode. We have obviously one massive scene that's
one really big scene, but I think what's going to be overlooked, and it shouldn't be overlooked, is the scene where Kirk goes into Spock's quarters. He's trying to like, what's wrong? Just tell me. I'm your friend. I'm your captain, but I'm your friend. Tell me what the fuck is wrong. I'll help you. I can't. And then you just see the knife, and it's
the one you forget.
So subtle.
Yeah.
It is so subtle. It's so small, but it's one of the most significant moments in the entire episode because this is a man who has dedicated his life to logic, and everything has to be logical.
Yeah.
And you think it's logical for him to be standing there with a knife ready to kill his friend, his captain? That's not logical. That's not even close to being logical. And that is why this episode is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, like I don't even remember that scene from watching it previously as well. It's only when you're actually watching it properly, like analysis wise, you're going like, okay, we all remember the fight scene. We all remember like maybe the reveal where like Spock like kind of cracks a smile and so forth. You don't remember that part. And that like is actually so much more important for making the episode than anything else. Because how else do you get across the point that there's something wrong with Spock? After a series or so, after a good series of defining the characters and realizing that they're all best mates and all this sort of shit, what's the best way to put across that something's wrong with Spock? Oh yeah, Spock wants to kill Captain Kirk. He's ready to. Yeah. He's got the knife ready. He's glassed. He knows.
Oh, he's very much ready to kill him.
This. Yeah. Like that is something that's not forgotten in the context of the episode. So certainly scores points there. I think the only thing I probably would give away to the episode is probably the end, where it's like, oh, we're all friends again. You know, it's like you wouldn't deal with it. You wouldn't end up that easy. But that's a trope with Star Trek the original series anyway. And I have taken points about that before.
They have to have that little happy ending.
Yes.
You know, it's not like in the pale moonlight where it ends very sinisterly
Yeah.
because that end. And even let's look at Best of Both Worlds as well. It's like great, oh, we defeated the Borg, you know, we've got the captain back,
Mm.
and then he's alone in his room,
Yeah.
and he looks out the window, and it's almost like he can still fucking hear them.
Mm-hmm.
And that does not end. That's not a nice ending.
No.
Like
It's
wow,
very
like it's not.
off-center, yeah.
So the fact that they could have done it differently. They didn't. They took it differently. I'm not going to take too much away for that.
Mm.
So for me, I'd have to go a 9. I couldn't take any more than 1 point away.
Yeah, for the power of the fight scene alone, I'll meet you with 9, because like I said, it is that scene from Star Trek, from the original series. If you want to crystallize it to one scene, it's the fight between Spock and Kirk. Like even if you look back at the arena episode where he fights the Gorn, and yeah, it looks fucking terrible nowadays. You know, it looks shite. It's desperately bad, but it's still iconic. It's still memorable for all the wrong reasons. This is like memorable for the right reasons almost. You know, it's like it's the flip other side of that coin.
Yeah.
Like whenever Star Trek do need to do an action packed, there are some serious stakes here. Like you don't know what's going to happen to this episode. You know what's going to happen to the characters. You know, these guys could get fucking written off now. You never know, because in shows like it's lost on us now because like we're cynical enough. We look at the people who are signed up for the series and go, we know they're there for the series. In the same way, like Netflix have to recycle characters. Like the Discovery, Giorgio was off for 4 episodes. She's back in her fucking Mirror Universe version is back. You know, or the Dr. Culber was killed off for 5 episodes. He's back in episode 6. Exactly. That stuff gets on my tits, you know. But that's the nature of short seasons. Like you have to use your talent. You need to use them, or else there's no point casting them. But back in this era, though, you had Bonanza and Gunsmoke, and they rattled through the casts. There's a different cast every season for Bonanza and Gunsmoke because it's a and Wagon Trail as well. Wagon Trail had a new cast every season, because it's literally it's Wagon Trail. It's different families on it each time. That's the whole point of it.
It's the premise of the whole fucking thing.
Exactly. But we didn't know that. We can't appreciate that at the time. But at this juncture, you don't know if Spock or Kirk will die the next episode.
No,
you know,
because it's from that era of rotating casts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are they going to survive? You know what I mean? Obviously, nowadays you look and go, that would never happen. You'd never. Now, saying that, it's a series that I've never watched. But I keep getting told to watch it. But American, what's it called? American
Psycho?
Oh, geez. No. It's a it's like a Netflix thing. Something night. Oh, what's it called?
American Horror?
American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Is that it? American Horror Story?
American Horror Story, yeah.
There's a different cast. Now, I know there's still one or two staff, not staff members, but cast members. Crossover. But it's mainly different cast each season. And it's supposed to be fresh. I've never watched it. American Horror Story, yeah. I've not watched it, but I keep getting told to watch it. And, maybe after 2 or 3 seasons, more people will come back and whatnot. But it changes over like that. But when you're in an era of the 50s and 60s, where it's a constantly rotating thing, like you generally say to yourself, if you're an actor, you're getting an episode, maybe 2, and then you're out.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to be cast for a season or 2 seasons or fucking 3 or like Next Generation 7. You know, God forbid. You know, that would never happen. That's just unthinkable.
Not the number of episodes, definitely not. Yeah. You don't get that number. Yeah.
I'd imagine that the fans at the time were looking at this going, geez, I wonder when he's going to die. That's where you think
it could be. It could be the mindset.
Best case scenario. When's he getting transferred? You know.
Yeah, no, that's true, and that's the thing, like, because the core members are there, as in like Scotty, McCoy, Spock, and everyone else. But like, you have to remember, like, Uhura, Chekhov, and Sulu were still rotating characters. They were still alternating with other people. You know, if Sulu wasn't on, there was Styles, who was the one that was like the racing against Romulans. If there wasn't Chekhov, there was Riley, the Irish guy who took over the engineering and started going, you know,
where's me whiskey and me potatoes?
Fucking dreadful episode. But that's But that's the thing, like you're not guaranteed to see the same people each week, and that's the quirk of it also makes sense. You're on an Enterprise, there are different rosters and rotations and shit like this. You're not guaranteed to see the same 7 people over and over again, which is, I think, some later entries have been guilty of. But that's again the nature of TV. You need to use the cast when you have them. No point paying them if you don't to use them. But yeah, I think in this case it's fair enough. Next one then is character. Again, you can imagine it's got to be a strong category. So this is one we're focusing in on here, in that sense. So let's break it down then. So the top 3 for me would have to be Spock, Kirk, and McCoy. Now, curious enough, I think Kirk is actually third. He's the bronze medal in this episode for me.
Kirk is definitely third because, and
yeah,
that's why I think Shatner didn't go over the top mainly in this episode. Obviously, he's very famous for going over the top, but in this one, he did take somewhat of a back seat, and it wasn't just taking a back seat to Spock. He did take a back seat to McCoy because McCoy is definitely in as number 2. From the scenes where he was like, "What, I'm the doctor. I have to check you out. Come on." Then he's going pleading to Kirk, "We have to go to Vulcan, or he's dead, Jim. He's dead. He's dead." And then even the bit on the planet. We're not going to talk about the last scene because the last scene's just a throwaway thing, really.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, and he was even on the planet, and he had to convince T'Pau that Kirk was dead. So he definitely took a second seat in this one. But for me, there is no other person in this episode. All the other actors combined do not come close to Leonard Nimoy in this episode. I think this is probably because every other performance you see of Spock, apart from maybe the search for Spock, or even in Wrath of Khan, every other Spock episode and film, anything he's been in, it's all been the same Spock. Really, it really has. Whereas this was new. This was different. This was absolutely fantastic. He rocked the socks off. Absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna go. Would you go 10 with me? Or would you go 9?
I go 9, and the reason I go 9 is because I think if you add a little wrinkle to McCoy or Kirk, I'd go 10. Yeah. Now that being said, I think everyone else, as you said, like Leonard Nimoy was front and center, and like to flesh out the Spock character 100%, yes, absolutely, 100% agree. But this was a case where it just needed two to tango, and I say if we had a bit more of T'Pring or T'Pau, I'd make it a 10. Yeah, T'Pau, I think that does enough to kind of like establish that kind of matriarchal, like she clearly is like someone high up in Vulcan society that isn't described to us, and we don't need it to be described to us, to be fair. We don't know, we're outsiders, we don't care. The praying just kind of like comes across as a bit too much of a bitch for me, and that's the only
just a tad. It's like she was only doing it so she could get with some other bloke. Fuck off.
And we don't know who this other bloke is. It's not described to us at all. And again,
there's
actually nothing wrong with that.
It's the other guy.
It's Don. Look at him.
Yeah, the big burly looking bastard. Dirty fucker. But I think 9's a fair one. I think it is fair. I would have liked to go 10, but I'll stick with 9 because Nimoy was that good. Simple.
He was very, very good. Yeah, he was supreme. And then we get to the consequences of this episode. So
I genuinely feel, personally, I don't know how you feel about this. I genuinely feel this was a very, very important episode for all of Star Trek because you finally got to see a bit more. It wasn't just one Vulcan on a starship being stone-faced. This was, you got to see a bit of their culture. You got to see a bit of their beliefs. You got to see exactly what their mating ritual is, or part of the mating ritual of what it is. And the fact that she was able to stand in and go, I don't want this. I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to pick somebody, and it's going to be your fucking friend, and you have to kill him. Very involved. Very involved. I think to the point where it hasn't actually been that fleshed out since. You get bits and pieces, and then obviously you got loads in Enterprise, but Enterprise almost is a throwaway when it comes to it. It's like when you look at like the main Star Trek shows, which is the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, it's not the Vulcan society and Vulcan rituals and beliefs and things like that is not as fleshed out as this one singular episode.
Hmm.
So it definitely has serious consequences for the entirety of Star Trek.
10.
10.
Like it's the one negative I was going to throw in there was about T'Pring herself and just being a kind of a
Don't
troll.
mind her. Listen,
Well,
don't
yeah,
mind her.
I mentioned this in the character already.
I
So I'll
thought
take that point off already.
I thought T'Pau
Mm.
was perfect casting. I tell you, she was fantastic. Even
Yeah.
the short amount of time that she was there, I thought Spock, as obviously, he was just fucking amazing. Then you've got the stone face. What was his name?
Gone.
Stan. Even he played a quintessential Vulcan that was starting to feel the pinch of this whole process. You know, I thought it was very good, very very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go with a 10 on that.
I'm going to 10, and the reason I think is because you mentioned there like that very few episodes have gone this deep into Vulcan, kind of like the culture. Again, as we know it, this is the first episode they've ever done a deep dive into any alien culture. Because even for the first season, it's still a very human centric show.
Yes.
It's about the humans going to Alien of the Week and seeing what did they need, or dealing with the issue of the week, whatever the problem is. The closest we have at this point is actually the Romulans with the Balance of Terror.
Yes.
When you see how they're Centurions and how their rank is very fluid. It's a case of like it's like behaving and doing what you're told, and that's how you get your rank. You know, like I was sorry, I shot the thing whenever you're demoted 2 ranks. Get the fuck out of here. You know, and that's a close thing you see. You see, there's a kind of a weird honor system in them, and their honor culture is almost copied into the Klingons after a while, and the Klingons almost swap back to being like villains in a weird way. Like there's a bit of a swap going on there. Again, the Klingons are only kind of seen as your stereotypical villains. There's absolutely no delving into what they actually are. Like bear in mind a couple of like little episodes here and there. They're clearly warlike and they're clearly like like marauders of some kind. But you don't actually see the culture behind the Klingons until the Next Generation with Worf centric episodes, and they're very important for those as well.
Very very good episodes as well.
Yes,
very good episodes as well.
Because they form their own mini arc as well, especially the actual literal redemption arc, with Worf. And again, we'll get to that at some stage during this show. But for actual Vulcans, anything Vulcan shaped in Star Trek came from this episode. This is the
100%.
primordial soup of the Vulcan like lore.
Yeah.
Yes, it's some parts are outdated now. They've been retroactively fixed over time with the Next Generation onwards. But you mentioned the Enterprise there, and Enterprise is a fantastic show for Vulcan as well. Not for T'Pol herself, but actually the mini arc they did with the Separatists.
Yeah,
it's a fucking brilliant mini arc.
I only watched that recently as well, and the fact that it's I don't think any other series has done this. But like when you look at Next Generation, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine, you've got so loads and loads of 2-parters.
Yeah,
Enterprise was the first Star Trek show that did a 3-parter.
Yeah,
and this is
it was really good.
And it wasn't this wasn't the first. There wasn't only just this one. There was the Augment 3-parter. There was the Separatist 3-parter with Vulcan, and the fact that you find out that Vulcan was actually being run by a Romulan. You know, and it's like fucking hell. So the deep dive that you get. Oh, there's Chewie.
Hey Chewie.
Hey,
hello.
Very good boy. What you get from that show is, in terms of Vulcans, is fantastic. You know.
It absolutely is. And again, we get that with Tuvok as well, but it's kind of retracing relatively old ground. If anything, it's kind of modernizing what we saw in this episode in Voyager. It's kind of and then Discovery, obviously, with Michael Burnham and how she cried her way through her child or whatever the fuck was wrong with her. But
don't get me
even
talking
then,
on that.
You pick up that baton though in Strange New Worlds. We have an episode with Spock and T'Pring, and the T'Pring character is properly fleshed out. Let's now we see what she's like properly, and we go from that point on then. And even like the movies as well. The movies do really well developing this as well. The idea of the Katra, the idea of the Spock's kind of extended family, where like where you pick him up at the motion picture, he's on Vulcan. You can you see how it looks properly, and how almost like the planet looks so violent, but the people are so calm, and that's a contrast as well. That would not have come had they not decided on a Martian style set dressing for this episode. Like everything Vulcan shaped comes from this. And again, if you're not sure why this is in the 10, that's why it's a 10. Because this episode gave us this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it had to be a 10. It could only be a 10 for this episode.
Now,
So
now we've reached the end here. What's
We
the
have.
final score? And I want to know, was my prediction correct? That's what I want to know.
well, you're gonna find out, Jay, because I am about to tell you in ascending order.
I know,
What
I know,
scores are?
because you do this every fucking time. Ascending order, go on, you.
Strap yourself in. So, in last place is the Voyager Conspiracy on 59 points, followed by the Arsenal of Freedom on 59.5. Then we have the Enterprise Incident at 67. After that, then is Dear Doctor 71.5, our previous episode. That is currently in 19th place. In 18th place is Tinker Tenor Dr. Spy from Voyager, sharing that with the Doomsday Machine from the original series, both on 72. In joint 15th is The Battle and Conspiracy, two Next Generation Season 1ers at 73 points. Then we have Space Seed, The Origin of Khan from the original series at 77. Trials and Tribulations from Deep Space Nine, shockingly our lowest ranked DS9 episode so far, on 79 points. Then we have Q Who on 80 from Next Generation, followed by Cupid on 81, also from the Next Generation. Then we have The Trouble with Tribbles, who is currently 10th place, alongside The Balance of Terror on 81.5. In 8th place is Family on 82 from Next Generation. In 7th place is The Enduring Incident on 83, sharing that with The Skin of Evil from the Next Generation, both 83. Lower Decks is now 5th on the ranking. No Small Parts, the season finale of Lower Decks, on 83.5. Emissary is next in 4th place on 84 points, which means in 3rd place, with a grand score of 88 points, is the original series episode Amok Time.
Wow.
88 is now our 3rd best episode we've seen so far in this series. And of course, still not touched at the moment. Very, very close to Jerry, let's be honest. I mean, they were nearly
damn close, yeah.
It was
That
close.
was damn close.
Yeah. Best of Both Worlds, 90.5, and In the Pale Moonlight, 91 out of 100. But the Amok Time, the episode we've just done now, is our 3rd best, empirically 3rd best episode we've watched on the series so far.
And the best original series episode that we've got.
Has rather blown the rest of them out of the water for the moment, yeah.
Wow.
Very much so.
But I kind of had a feeling about that because of the hype of it, and it lived up to the hype. It very much did. So I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that. But once again, the number one spot is not touched
Yet. Because we got more episodes to come. But yeah, I mean, if Amok Time was going to upset the apple cart, it got very fucking close to it. It got up to the apple cart anyway.
It did, because it got, the thing is, it got a number of 8s, it got a number of 9s, and a number of 10s. So that was close. It's a good example of an episode that's consistently good. It ticks all the boxes, and that's why Amok Time is done. There's very few things you could actually point at and say that was shit, and that's a very good example of that. That's why it's in the top 3. It really is as simple as that. It's in the top 3 for a reason. Those top 2 have been the top 2 since we started this, really, since we've been reviewing. And,
exactly. Yeah.
Let's be honest, they're going to be, whether number 1 gets beaten or not, they're always going to be up there as some of the best Star Trek episodes that we've ever reviewed, that people have ever watched. And now Amok Time is with them. And I'm very happy about that, because I said to myself going into this that you can't really compare the original series to the new stuff, because the new stuff is the new stuff. But when you actually watch it, there's a reason that Star Trek's been going around for over 50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Nearly 60 years now.
Yeah.
There's a reason, because of the original series. And that's where it all came from.
I think you'll always say that with the original series. Like, yes, it'll be known for its kitschy, kind of cartoony sections. Again, known as it's a TV show made in the 60s. It has a color and a flair to it, and a lot of charisma, either one way or another, from whichever you look at it. But within those episodes, because they didn't know at the time what Star Trek was going to be. Was it going to be serious? Was it going to be comedy? What was it going to be? every now and then you get an episode like that that just hits a sweet spot before they even knew there was a sweet spot. That's the fascinating thing. And you see that with the episodes we've watched. Like the Enterprise incident was not a bad episode in its own right, but it didn't it was a very like typecasted episode. It's like, here's an episode that does this style. But then you go to Balance of Terror, that is like a perfect recreation of a submarine drama.
Yeah.
Perfect in almost every way. And nearly hits the mark in that sense. And then like its counterpart is a Trouble of Tribbles, which is pure fucking comedy.
Yeah.
A complete different episode.
I
And
loved
I
that episode. I thought Trouble with Trouble was fucking great.
But that shows you the length and breadth of what Star Trek can actually do even as a TV show. That's as far as it can go. And every TV show has followed that role. Is say, look, if Star Trek can do a comedy episode, so can fucking we. If Star Trek can do like a joke about fucking like sentient wigs taking over the ship, then we as the X-Files can do one about fucking like a musical in a graveyard. We of course can do these things. Nailed on. Of course we can do them. So it definitely sets the pace there. But yeah, there we have it. That is our ranking for this week. We're getting very close to the sharp end again of the table, Jerry, and we're going to see now if our next episode challenges Amok Time or anywhere else around that field. Because
right, what's the next one?
The next one again is on our character arc, and we said this in the last episode what we were going to go with. But in case you need a reminder, we are moving on from the original series, and we're going back to the Next Generation because it has been a couple of episodes since we have. We're staying very much in the Picard realm for this episode. Very much not too far away from where we left off with family. But we are going with Picard and Q for this one. Namely a Picard-centric episode. The episode we're going for is Tapestry from season 6, I believe. Which very much is later era Picard, where he's kind of loosened up a little bit, and he's actually treating his crew with some level of respect. But yes, very much a different episode in that sense. But it's still a very, very good one if you want to delve into the Picard character. A little bit of an origin story to that in one sense as well.
Yeah.
But a very important life lesson to go with. And what isn't the Next Generation episode if it doesn't have a fucking life lesson stitched on the back of it? So
yeah,
that's where the fun is going to be. But for now, we will leave you there before we get to Tapestry. I'd like to thank my guest and co-host and captain, Jerry Soul, for joining us ever. Jerry, how is your Twitch stream coming along, and how can people hear your sultry notes over streams over the week?
Twitch has not been coming along, to be honest. I haven't done a stream since before Christmas. The reason behind that was because I wanted to take time off for Christmas, but we had a couple of let's just say complications with the family and whatnot over the last couple of weeks, so I have been taking a little bit of extended time off from it. But hopefully, with a bit of luck, I will be back on tomorrow night. You can watch me on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 p.m. GMT time, and the Twitch handle is Jerry Souls VIP. So it's twitch.tv/Jerry Souls VIP. And I will be on Tuesday. I'd love to do more, but unfortunately my schedule does not allow me to do more. I can occasionally do a random day here or there and whatnot, and wouldn't be advertised or anything like that. But we are setting up a Discord as well, so people will be able to join the Discord and see exactly when I'll be on and discuss things and discuss games we're playing and whatnot. I was kind of predominantly doing Star Wars The Old Republic, and I am still going to do that, so I'll probably do a Star Wars The Old Republic stream tomorrow night on Tuesday. But what I'll be doing on Thursdays then, so Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays will be Star Wars, and Thursdays will be Sea of Thieves. I really, really enjoy playing Sea of Thieves. Nice. It's just one of those games that's fun. Now it's fun if you're not getting fucking sunk every 5 minutes. Yeah. You know what you're doing. Yeah. Exactly. But I'm gonna hopefully play it on Thursdays, and I'd like to see if I can get like a rotating crew with me. Not randomers, because I don't like playing with random people. But I've a few people who play it, and one of the channel's contributors, the Scottish man himself, the Scottish Psycho, we call him. He said that he will definitely participate on. I'd love to have him on.
Mm.
My cousin is going to be on, and then of course my normal crew, which is Chibi Dragon, the Mighty Jimmy, and Cause Challengers. And we've kind of rotated about who's going to stream and who's streaming and who's playing and whatnot. You can also hear me most Sunday evenings on the Cause Challengers Twitch stream when we're playing STO, which is Star Trek
Yeah.
Online. And I have a lovely inquiry class on that one.
Ooh,
It's
nice.
lovely, very very nice. And
Tasty.
yeah, so that's the whole deal with Twitch at the minute. I have reached affiliate. I'd like to try and get 100 followers by say the middle to end of February, if we can. It's only the middle of January now, so the middle end of February, if I can get 100 followers, I'd be very very happy with that. We have gotten some fantastic raids from some bigger Twitch streamers. One guy who is actually a developer for Star Wars: The Old Republic, he actually raided me with I think it was 40 people one day. Said he loved my content, he loved how the stream looked, to keep doing what I'm doing. I was speechless. I was nearly in tears because I was like, wow. And just the follows, it just went crazy after that. I think I had 34 followers. I'm up to nearly 80 now.
Nice.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm getting there. All these big Twitch streamers didn't get massive followings overnight unless you had a hot tub and a bikini. But I could do that, but I'd probably lose the 82 people that I have. So,
And you probably lose a bikini fairly quickly as well, to be honest. I've seen you they just fucking you just bapped everywhere, to be honest, Jerry. Like there's no controlling it sometimes,
Yeah, just the front falls off, and that's the end of it,
Well, you know what happens when your wave hits your ship, I tell you that much.
The front fell off.
Oh, to fucking remove that of your environment, I tell you that much. In any case, but yes, by all means, subscribe and follow to Jerry Souls VIP, and then please do enjoy all of his content, because it is very enjoyable content for all of us. I don't have anything to pimp out because you're probably fucking sick of seeing me on this channel at this stage, so I have nothing to contribute in that sense. If you're not sick of me, then just so by all means subscribe to Nerds or Us and enjoy all of our content. We are trying to put out one of these episodes once a month, if not more recently. But obviously depends on availability for all of us here on the channel as well. So but stay tuned. If you're a Trekkie and you want to see more, there's just watch all of our stuff. We probably bring up Star Trek a lot in our conversations, to be honest. So by all means subscribe to us there. You'll find something else for you to enjoy, I'm sure. But until then, thank you all very much. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments your thoughts on this episode. Have we ranked it too high or too low? You tell us. And by all means, give us suggestions for future episodes, because we will be needing more ideas after these 2 arcs that we're going to be doing. And of course, as ever, we'll leave you with this.